7 cognitive traps that make you choose the wrong partner. It never begins with disaster. It begins with excitement. A message that makes the heart beat faster. A smile that feels different from the others. A presence that feels magnetic. First, it feels like fate. Later, it feels like confusion. And eventually, it feels like pain. Most people do not choose the wrong partner because they want to suffer. They choose the wrong partner because their brain quietly leads them there. Not with logic, not with reason, with emotion. This is the story of how. The first meeting. It starts with a feeling that does not make sense. Not comfort, not safety. Intensity. Something feels powerful, unfamiliar, addictive. The mind calls it chemistry. The body calls it excitement. But the brain calls it dopamine. Dopamine is not love. It is anticipation, desire, chasing.
And when dopamine is high, judgment becomes weak.
The heart says this feels right. The brain says this feels exciting. And logic stays silent. This is where the first trap begins. 1. The intensity trap. When excitement is mistaken for compatibility. The brain is drawn to strong emotion. Calm feels boring when the nervous system is used to chaos. When someone triggers intense emotion, jealousy, passion, uncertainty, obsession, the brain releases more chemicals. That chemical rush feels meaningful, so the mind creates a story. This must be special. But intensity does not mean health. It does not mean stability. It does not mean love. It means stimulation. And stimulation feels powerful. So the brain chases people who create emotional waves, not emotional safety. Calm feels empty when the brain is addicted to storms. The pattern repeats. The same type of person appears again. Different face, same energy, same confusion, same pain. The mind asks why this always happens. The answer is not fate. It is familiarity. 2. The familiar pain trap. Why the brain chooses what it already knows. The brain prefers what feels familiar, not what feels healthy. If chaos was learned early, chaos feels normal. If distance was learned early, distance feels safe. The brain looks for patterns that match the past, not because they were good, but because they were known. So people often fall for partners who recreate emotional environments they grew up in. Cold becomes attractive. Unavailable feels exciting. Unstable feels normal. The brain confuses familiarity with safety and calls it love. The justification begins. Red flags appear, but the mind explains them away. He just needs time. She has been hurt before. It will get better. Hope becomes louder than evidence. 3. The optimism bias trap. Why the brain believes it will change. The brain loves hope because hope feels like control. If I try harder, if I love more, if I stay longer, the mind believes effort can fix people. This is optimism bias. The brain overestimates positive outcomes and underestimates risk. It does not see patterns, it sees potential. But potential is not reality. Love becomes a project instead of a partnership, and slowly, effort replaces happiness. The emotional investment grows. Time passes. Memories form. Energy is spent. Sacrifice is made. Leaving now feels impossible. 4. The sunk cost trap. Why the brain refuses to walk away. The brain hates loss, not emotional loss, but effort loss. If I leave now, everything was for nothing. This is sunk cost fallacy. The brain believes staying makes the past worth it, but staying only creates more cost, more time, more pain, more damage. The brain would rather suffer longer than admit it chose wrong. So it stays, not because it is happy, but because it is afraid of losing what is already gone. The comparison begins. Others look happier, healthier, calmer. The mind compares, and dissatisfaction grows. 5. The comparison trap. Why the brain wants what it sees. The brain measures value by contrast. Seeing other relationships changes perception, not always truthfully. Social images show highlights, not reality. But emotionally, the brain does not know that. It sees happiness and assumes it is constant. So current love feels smaller, less exciting, less special. The mind begins to search for better, without knowing what better really means. It chases images instead of substance. The emotional confusion deepens. Affection fades. Frustration grows. Distance appears. And still, leaving feels terrifying. 6. The fear of being alone trap. Why loneliness feels more dangerous than pain. The brain treats loneliness as a threat. Being alone once meant danger. So separation triggers fear. Better bad company than none. Better pain than emptiness. So people stay in relationships that hurt because solitude feels worse. Not because it is worse, but because the brain is afraid of it. Loneliness feels like failure, like rejection, like being unchosen. So the brain chooses familiar pain over unfamiliar peace. The final mistake. Someone new appears. Kind, calm, respectful. But something feels boring. 7. The calm feels wrong trap. Why healthy love feels strange at first. When the brain is used to chaos, peace feels empty. No anxiety. No drama. No emotional roller coaster. Just stability. And stability feels dull to a nervous system trained by stress. The mind says there is no spark. But the truth is, there is no chaos. And chaos was mistaken for passion. Healthy love feels slow, predictable, safe. But safety does not create dopamine storms. It creates peace. And peace feels unfamiliar to a brain raised on tension. So people leave healthy partners and return to emotional storms, calling it love. The realization. One day, the pattern becomes clear. Different faces, same story, same beginning, same ending. Different words, same pain. The brain has been choosing, not the heart, not logic, memory, chemistry, fear, habit. The truth about bad romance. People do not fall into bad relationships. They are led there by invisible patterns, by emotional memory, by chemical addiction, by fear of loss, by fear of loneliness, by misunderstanding calm. Love is not intensity, not chaos, not obsession. Love is safety without boredom, connection without fear, peace without emptiness. But the brain must unlearn old patterns before it can recognize new ones. The ending. The next time attraction appears, the heart will race, the mind will imagine, the body will react. But awareness will watch, not to kill romance, but to protect it. Because love should not feel like survival. It should feel like home.